Good morning. Now, where's Mary? Oh, there's Mary. Mary, you cannot say anything about this, okay? Okay. The number 16670. Mary knows what this number means. That's why I just spoke to her. Does anyone know what this number means? What is the significance of this number? Anybody? So you have to guess it because I'm going to keep asking you questions, and the longer this goes, the longer the homily gets. No. It's a prisoner number from the Second World War, a well-known Second World War prisoner in Auschwitz. He was a Polish priest and made a saint. Maximilian Kolbe. Very good. For anyone who's not familiar with Maximilian Kolbe, in 1941, he was in Auschwitz in the death camp, and a prisoner had escaped Auschwitz that day in July. And in retaliation, the Germans picked 10 arbitrary people to be killed in lieu of the person who had escaped. It was a person who escaped from Auschwitz. And one of those unfortunate 10 people was a young man and a young father who pleaded for his life. And Maximilian Kolbe stepped out of line and offered his life for the life of the young man. And his offer was accepted. Maximilian Kolbe stepped forward in service of another person. This is a radical example of how to serve. To give your life for another is a most extreme sacrifice. But it is a reminder to us as we serve even radically that it's never about us. Service is never about we who serve. It's about the other person we are serving, the person in front of us, and how God calls us to serve. Maximilian Kolbe gave life to that young man and to his family. In our gospel today, Jesus raises the son of the widow who had died. And much like Maximilian Kolbe, St. Luke in the gospel says that Jesus came forward. Jesus came forward in service to the widow and to her son. Jesus gave life to the man who had died and to his mother. Serving is about how we give life to those whom we serve. We are in week 2 of our preaching series and our campaign called Stewardship of Talent. And last week, Father James kicked off the series and had a look at the power of ministry and how a parish, when mobilized in service, great things can happen. He also gave us an outline of the 4 weeks and what we can pretty much expect over the next 4 weeks. And we are, as I said today, in week 2. We are releasing our Stewardship of Talent booklet. And we're encouraging each household to take a copy of it home. Within it, you will find 40 ministries that go on in the parish. Take it home, read through it, learn about the 5 ministry categories in our parish: evangelization, social justice, catechesis, administration, parish life, and liturgy. Each ministry is outlined. You'll find information about them, brief description of what it does, who it serves, and then the main contact person for that particular ministry. Take time to read through it and consider ministry as we serve in this parish. The one other thing that you'll find in the spine of the booklet is a copy of the commitment card. On the card is space for 3 ministries that you would like to explore. And next week, we have our ministry fair. There will be food and music. There will be things for the kids. We will have face painting. We will have balloon artists. It will be a party, and everyone is invited. We want to recognize the many gifts and talents which God has in this parish, to bring them forward and to recognize the glory and the goodness of God in and through our talents. Each ministry will have a booth. You're able to talk to the people who serve in that ministry, to find out more about it, to ask questions, get information. And in 2 weeks, we will be having our Commitment Sunday. And you will be asked to step forward, filling out a commitment card and placing it in a basket on the front of the altar. As you step forward in service and in ministry for the parish. As with Maximilian Kolbe and Jesus in the gospel, stepping out in service is very physical, isn't it? We need this physical activity of being conscious of stepping forward and offering our time and talent. And consider the military and others who serve law enforcement, men and women who serve their communities, placing their needs, the needs of others before their own. It's a very conscious effort, isn't it, as they line up in formation and step forward as they serve. Even within the church, we have sacraments of service. We have holy orders and holy matrimony that are known within the church as sacraments of service. The reason they are considered sacraments of service is because the very act within the sacrament is how you give your life to others. A bride to a groom and a groom to a bride, a priest or a deacon offering their life of service to the community and the people of God. Both involve commitments and vocations to serving others. In ministry, stepping into service in many ways is dying to self, sacrificing our own needs for those of others. And that is exactly what God calls us to do. Are we not to follow Jesus? Jesus often said in the gospel, "Follow me, follow me." Jesus, who said, "Even for the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." And there are many ways that you can live out a life of service and ministry. You have gifts and talents that God has given you. Read through the booklet and consider how to do that. We have many different options available to us, whether it's an individual ministry for yourself or perhaps for your family. So I remember one of the first ministries that we got involved in at St. Thomas Aquinas more than 20 years ago was something we got together as a family and did, and that was the after coffee social. So we would leave for Mass 15 or 20 minutes early, go and set up for the coffee social. Patty and I looked after coffee and tea and drinks, and the kids were responsible for the treat table, which they really liked, particularly our son Patrick. Because what would eventually happen is one cookie would go on the table, and then one cookie would go in his mouth. And then one cookie would go on the table, and then one would go in his mouth. He was a big fan of being involved in the after-Mass coffee social. But it was important for us to give back to the parish and to recognize that we were to serve, we were called to serve. And it was also a good example for our children about how we are to serve in ministry and how we are to give back to our parish consciously. Make that effort. So whatever gifts God has given you, whatever He's blessed you with, He can use them. Allow Him to use them. 1 Peter says, "Like good stewards of the manifold grace of God, serve one another with whatever gifts each of you have, whatever you have to offer, whatever you have to bring forward. God can use them if you allow Him to." What the Lord has given you ought not to be wasted. Each of us has unique gifts. Jesus stepped forward. Maximilian Kolbe stepped forward. And today God is calling you to step forward and put your gifts and talents to work. And speaking of putting gifts and talents to work, as part of our ministry campaign this weekend, we've asked Joanne Ackerboom to step forward and tell us a little bit about her experience in ministry and why it is important to serve God through serving others.
Good morning, everyone. Well, that wasn't very exciting. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm very excited about the ministry fair next week. And you might be going, why is she so excited about ministry? Well, about 3 years ago, I moved back to Nova Scotia after living in Alberta for 10 years. And out west, I was part of a very strong Catholic community. And when I moved here, I was worried I would not find that again. But thankfully I did in this parish. The first Sunday I attended Mass here, Father James greeted me as he sat outside on the guardrails in the summer. He was very welcoming, just like the members of the hospitality ministry each and every Sunday. As a relatively new parishioner, I know how important it is to welcome people, because I was once that person. I found my spiritual home here, and I have been given so much, and I want to serve God by giving back. Since I started coming to Our Lady of Guadalupe, I've become part of several ministries. The last ministry that I joined is the Saturday 4 p.m. choir. Now, being part of the music ministry fills me with such peace, gratitude, and grace. And I also love to encourage others to sing. And by the way, you all sang beautifully today. I especially love the psalm. It's so wonderful to have the church filled with everyone's voice. Serving brings me closer to God and provides me with that strong sense of community I need in my life. My question to you is, will you be Christ's body? In Romans chapter 12, verse 4, St. Paul says, "We who are many are one." The little time that we're given here in this life can reflect God's goodness. We all belong to one another, and we're responsible for one another. Jesus gave us an example of how to care for one another, and he asks us to continue the work he started. We can all help our parish we can all care for one another by serving in ministry in our church, but we can also help create this parish in becoming the heart of Dartmouth and helping the community outside our church as well. So please, please, please take time to read the booklet that you're given this weekend and pray about how God is calling you to use your gifts. It has information about all the current ministries in our church, and also plan to visit the fair next week. Okay, next weekend, bring the whole family. It is going to be a lot of fun, and a lot of work has gone into this for all of you. So take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. And remember this question: how can I serve God? And from Psalm 40 is my answer: here I am, God. I've come to do your will.